Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, Wendy. We haven't been together on an episode in a while. I've missed you.
Yeah, I've missed you too. You did an awesome job on that interview with Mark O'Connell.
Thank you.
I enjoyed listening to that, and I got a lot out of it. And I missed talking to you those weeks, but it was well worth it, I think.
Yeah, and now we're back together in the virtual studio known as Skype. So,
That's right.
And I can see you having a glass of wine right there. So you seem to be enjoying your evening.
Yeah, well, it's a veritable blizzard outside, so it's a good night to be inside and be cozy next to the fireplace here, have a glass of wine and a little conversation about weird stuff.
That sounds good to me. I'm gazing out. It just finished snowing here in Minneapolis. I'm gazing out over the lovely skyline of the city and all of the fresh, snow-topped buildings.
The snow is very pretty when you're viewing it from inside a warm place.
Yeah, it's great. Like, I'm just looking at it now. I don't have to drive in it. I'm like, this is very pleasant.
Very cool.
This is very
Good.
pleasant.
Well, I'm glad you have a pleasant evening.
Thank you. You know what else I think is very pleasant?
What's that, Mike?
Reviews on iTunes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess we haven't really talked about that too much in a while.
No, we haven't. We haven't pressured our listeners to give us reviews on iTunes in far too long.
No, we haven't. And, it is one of those things that we're purely asking because it helps us to get some new listeners into the fold. So we don't get any sponsorship money or anything like that. We're just trying to expand our community with some new people. And I guess the good way to do that is to have some reviews that they can stumble upon it and perhaps take a listen.
Yeah, it's like we don't get paid per review, but we do get paid. We get paid in good feelings, and so those good feelings will help us give good feelings to other people.
Warm fuzzies,
right? And I just made us sound like masseuses. We give good feelings to other people. Oh yeah, but that's but really, so if you can, click on the view on iTunes, othersidepodcast.com, and just jump on iTunes and write something quick. Everybody, if you have iTunes, you have an iTunes account. And so that's all it takes is just to write up a review if you're enjoying the show. And we certainly do appreciate that. That allows us to give good feelings to other people.
That's right. And it also works in Stitcher if you use a non-iTunes app.
Oh, yeah, Stitcher.
So anybody can go in there and leave a review in Stitcher if they choose to, if they don't want to install iTunes. And I sympathize. But anyway, so I thought it might be fun to set ourselves a little goal for February.
Okay, what's that goal?
Well, I thought it'd be good if we could try to get a new review each week.
Oh, it was like one for every podcast.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like an admirable number.
And February is a cool month because there's exactly 4 weeks. It makes the calendar fit neatly into a grid of 7x4.
Oh, yeah. So if you're OCD, it's real easy just
beautiful.
On Wednesdays to check it off the list.
Yeah. And so anyway, if you guys have a moment, please, if you like the podcast, leave us a little feedback and we'll see if we can meet our goal of 4 new reviews this month.
I think that sounds like an excellent idea. So, okay.
All right.
Okay. Well,
now on to the good stuff.
Shameless pandering has ended. And, we had a different topic scheduled for this week, but, on last week, you had Johnny Depp miss a press conference for his new movie. Oh, and I can't... Mordecai. Mordecai is the name of the movie. Wendy, have you seen the ads for Mordecai?
I actually have not.
Okay, it's Johnny Depp with like a Raleigh Fingers mustache. So like a handlebar mustache. If you guys don't know who Raleigh Fingers was, relief pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers for a long time.
When we were kids, he was the big star.
He was a big star. That was the time the Brewers went to the World Series back when they were in the American League, which, a real baseball league and not this National League trumped up stuff. And
sports ball talk.
Yeah, that's right. And so Raleigh Fingers would show up to save the day and he had these handlebar mustaches like it was 1908 or something ridiculous. Like,
Pretty awesome. And look at today, it's back in fashion.
Well, in Minneapolis,
All the hipsters.
it's back in fashion. They love it here.
Yeah, all the hipsters.
It's everybody riding around on like their unicycle with a handlebar mustache that gives the city its flavor.
No, the mustache wax companies are like back in business, man. They're back
after not being in business since the mustache boom of the 70s ended. They're like, oh, thank God people are getting back to waxing their mustaches. Oh,
right.
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay, so the movie was Johnny Depp.
Yes, Johnny Depp plays a character called Mordecai. This is based on like some European novel. It's like his art heist. It's got Gwyneth Paltrow and Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor, who's usually solid. You know, he's great in a lot of movies, but, well, anyway, the ads looked horrible. It didn't look funny. It looked like a bad Pink Panther or something like that. And it bombed. It came out like a week and a half ago.
Okay.
And it made like $26.
Oh, that's a pity.
And it didn't really make $26. It still made money. I mean, it didn't
right, but not like in line with a successful debut, huh?
Not in line with a Johnny Depp vehicle. I mean, the man has anchored the ever decreasing returns of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, and the man makes a lot of money, and so he comes out with a dud, and he's going to release it in Japan. Japan is where it gets released this, February 6th, so this Friday. So he's going to do a press conference on it last Tuesday in Tokyo. And they think that Japan, they have a chance of making some money. Anyway, he completely misses it. Reporters wait for over an hour. Johnny Depp just doesn't show up.
Oh, man, that's embarrassing.
I think he was in his hotel room just depressed over like, I made this movie and nobody showed up. And I'm like, well, you should come to some of our shows, Johnny, and then you can see. Okay.
Gosh.
But so he shows up the next day at a photo call, and he apologizes for missing the press conference. And he blames it. Here's his quote. I was attacked yesterday morning by a very rarely seen or experienced animal called Chupacabra. I have fought with it for hours. They're very persistent, very mean. And I'm pretty sure it came into my suitcase. I threw him off the 23rd floor, so we'll never see him again. Thank you for understanding. So
that must have been a wee little chupacabra, or he's got an enormous suitcase.
He probably has an enormous suitcase just for his scarves
and his monsters that he carries around.
But the funny thing is, and he's telling this to the Japanese media, who are probably like, what is a chupacabra? Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, I think he's lost his marbles.
Right. And obviously they've seen Mordecai, so they do think he's lost his marbles. Okay. Enough beating up on Mordecai. But so that got us to thinking right away, we should talk about the Chupacabra because it's in the news, and the Chupacabra isn't in the news very often.
No, and just the fact that he chose to use that reference, presumably thinking that enough people would know or have heard of it.
Right.
That it's mainstream enough now that people actually know what you're talking about when you reference a Chupacabra.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
Yes, it is. So Johnny Depp throwing that out there. We thought we'd talk a little bit about the history of the Chupacabra, and we should get into a little bit of cryptozoology.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Well, cryptozoology, is the study of animals whose existence is suggested but not proven yet. And they call those animals...
Bigfoot?
Yeah, exactly, like Bigfoot. They call those animals cryptids. So crypto literally means hidden. Zoology means animals. And so you put them together, so it's hidden animals. And it's a study of those.
Okay.
Now, there's no accredited cryptozoology. You can't become like a doctor of cryptozoology. So that doesn't exist yet. Because I was looking in, because I'm like, okay, the study of hidden animals, which means you're hunting for Bigfoot, or you're looking for the Loch Ness Monster, or you're seeking out El Chupacabra.
Okay, so it's not like trying to find like dinosaur, like evidence of dinosaurs or something like that. It's actually
No. This is something that we don't even think existed.
okay.
So I mean, sometimes cryptozoologists, sometimes they'll bolster that up. Like the big one was there's a ancient fish called a coelacanth, and it's only found in very deep water, and it was thought to be extinct for millions of years. But then they found one like off the coast of Australia. So cryptozoologists often will call to that to say like, well, there are creatures that scientists thought didn't exist or were extinct and really were still here. So they'll often point to things like the coelacanth or the Komodo dragon. The Komodo dragon was considered to be a rumor until they actually found it.
And those things are so cool.
Yeah, they're awesome. And now, when you're in a zoo, you're like, yeah, Komodo dragon, totally sweet. Big lizard in my backyard. And so cryptozoologists kind of, they point to those things that in history there has been animals whose existence has just been suggested and not proven, and later on they've proven it, and that's what they kind of hope with Bigfoot and the abominable snowman, the Loch Ness monster, and everything.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the branch of the paranormal that El Chupacabra falls under is cryptozoology.
Okay.
So I just wanted to get that out there and explain. A cryptid is one of those animals.
And it's things that they exist in folklore and in that type of stories, but no one's actually found concrete evidence that's actually passed the test of science.
No one's killed one and then dragged it in for everybody, for a scientist to take a look at and be like, oh yeah, well look at that. It's Bigfoot's real, huh? Didn't see that one coming. And the Chupacabra is also interesting because it's a creature of the modern age. So the first sightings, the first reports of El Chupacabra. So what does El Chupacabra mean? It literally, Spanish. The Spanish translation directly is goat sucker.
Gosh, that's so gross.
So El Chupacabra means the goat sucker. And so these reports started in Puerto Rico in 1995. And actually, one of the first reports was released in November 19th of 1995, which was my birthday.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that's very exciting.
It's very near and dear to your heart.
Yes. And so what they were saying, now Puerto Rico has the huge city of San Juan, which is the big capital. And then it's got a few large cities too, Ponce and Miages. And the rest of the island is small, either oceanside fishing communities or small farming communities. So there's a lot of places in Puerto Rico that are very, very rural.
Okay.
And so the first reports were coming out of these rural communities that there were eight sheep who had 3 puncture marks on their chest, and they were completely drained of blood.
Ew.
And so that's what they were saying.
Strange.
So they were saying that these weird vampiric attacks were happening, and it was happening to like goats as well. And the trouble is, and this is where cryptozoologists get into trouble, and even if you look at the citations on Wikipedia for this, they always cite anecdotal evidence. There's no like newspaper report that says we have, that takes a picture of 15 dead chickens drained completely of blood and says, check out these chickens with the puncture marks. They're completely drained of blood. So it's all, it's all these kind of superstitious kind of reports and secondhand kind of reporting.
Well, I have to say, I pulled up the Wikipedia page and I was laughing before because the rendering.
Yes.
So I'm looking at this picture.
And we're going to get to that right now.
Okay. But it's just, we'll get to it then.
So the first person that sees, it's August of 1995. And so this is an eyewitness Madeline Tolentino. She reports seeing the creature, her town of Canovanas. And it's said that as many as 150 farm animals and pets are killed and drained of blood.
Ooh.
And
the draining of blood is the really weirdest part about it.
Right. Well, that's what that's what is not just a fox.
Yeah. It's more like a vampire.
Originally, they're like, well, it's probably a predator that's just coming in and killing it. Like, is it going to be a mysterious goat sucker, or?
I'm sure farmers are used to their animals being attacked in the middle of the night. That happens all the time.
Could it be a wolf or something? A lot of people are saying it might be a wolf, and they're like, well, there's no wolves in Puerto Rico. Right. But, there's a lot of ships that come in there. I don't know. It'd be hard for a wolf to be a stowaway, but we can get to them.
But even if it was just whatever wild animals they have there that are, predatory,
right.
sucking all the blood out. That's just,
it's not done. It's not done. So Madeline says, and she describes this creature as between 4 and 5 feet tall. She says that it's walking bipedally, so it's walking on two legs. That it's got big, the almond-shaped alien eyes and spikes coming out of its back. The size of a small bear. So it's a reptiloid, reptilian creature, spikes on its back, big alien eyes, and it's walking around on 2 legs. First of all, no animals just walk around on 2 legs.
Yeah, that's definitely an alien.
Right, makes it sound right, and that's the thing. So remember, 1995. In addition to being, our first year at college, Wendy, what was blossoming in 1995 that we didn't have before then?
I don't know. Internet.
The internet, yes. So that's the thing. So these reports are all of a sudden, there's message boards. There's places that people can communicate.
And spread the word of it.
Right. And so instead of just being in the back of like Fate magazine or Popular Science or something, these stories then, they get into people's mailboxes the next day because the internet's here. And so by 1996, there are reports of El Chupacabra all over the Caribbean. So they start talking about El Chupacabra all over the Caribbean. A lot of stuff in Mexico, Jamaica. There's sightings in Miami, Florida, and it just starts spreading from there. And so people start calling it the Bigfoot of Latino culture. Is El Chupacabra. And
I wanted to just quickly mention that this image on Wikipedia, that's an image of the Chupacabra based on its original description, which you just gave us.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
It has little birdie claws like an eagle, and it looks like a frog standing up on 2 legs.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not what I pictured, though, actually, thinking about.
Well, do you remember Land of the Lost at all?
Very vaguely.
Okay. It looks like the Sleestack from Land of the Lost. There's a lizard-like, tiny lizard-like people that live in the Land of the Lost. And it looks like the Sleestack. So if you guys out there listening have ever watched Land of the Lost, the original 70s version, not the reboot, which had better special effects, but the one where the Sleestack were obviously rubber masks made, that's what this picture of El Chupacabra looks like.
But check it out. Just go on Wikipedia and look for yourself because it's pretty funny.
We'll have a link to it.
And it's also, it's funny, but if you imagine actually seeing that thing in the flesh, like in your farm attacking your animals, whoa, holy cow.
Right. Then you better run. And so remember in the 90s too is that we didn't just have, it was the blossoming of the internet. We were also, before 9/11, we were full boat into government conspiracy culture. And we're still there. It's just that with a war on, it's less.
It's less of a priority. There are other things.
Right. Back in the 90s, when Bill Clinton was president, people were really like, well, obviously they're covering everything up. And then we had the X-Files, and every TV show was about a government conspiracy. Right. In all the movies, the government was always the bad guys, and the CIA. To be honest, there was very good reasons for that, because in the 1990s we also had a lot of declassified information coming from the CIA, coming from the Department of Energy, that they had done experiments on. I mean, we talked about this in previous episodes, but not just like the mind control experiments and the LSD, like giving LSD to people, but they released a cloud of plutonium over Seattle to see how, we'd react if there was some kind of nuclear bombardment.
Right.
It's like things that killed, the horrible things. I mean, they gave the black airmen syphilis. Like, we're just, we are learning all this stuff that the government was doing to us. And it really, it got people in a conspiracy mindset. And the biggest conspiracy of all, Area 51, obviously, and the aliens on Groom Lake, Nevada. And that's where people said that they had, that they were hiding alien technology. And they were saying that El Chupacabra, since it looked like an alien, was a result, it was like a government experiment gone awry. Because, there's islands off of Puerto Rico that the U.S. Navy had used for aerial bombardment and weapons testing.
Okay.
And so, I went to Juan Vieques a couple of years ago, and it's a beautiful island, and half the island is like a paradise. It's small, very small townish, great beaches, a lot of fun. I mean, there's like 10,000 people on the island, so it's like being on Gilligan's Island.
That sounds really nice right about now too. With the
I know.
snow outside.
I know, and it really, so Vieques was just really beautiful. But half the island you can't go on because they have unexploded bombs.
That's nice.
Right. So there's all these places where, like, you'll see, like, the zone, like, oh no, you can't go to the red zone. What's in the red zone? Bombs that haven't exploded. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna stay over here. That kind of thing. So we were using Puerto Rico as a weapons testing ground, and that's what people were saying. El Chupacabra was a U.S. government experiment where they took some of the alien DNA and they were messing
Crossing
around
it
with
something like terrestrial.
Right. Yeah, like a human hybrid. That's why it was bipedal and everything like that. And so alien human hybrids running wild in Puerto Rico, sucking the blood of your goats.
It would be terrifying if that were true.
Yes. And so that's kind of where the 90s left us with El Chupacabra. So in the 90s, El Chupacabra is still a very alien creature. And when we start getting into the 2000s, it becomes more of a, well, maybe it's not an alien creature. Maybe it's just a species of wolf or coyote that we haven't quite discovered yet. And that's when we start getting a lot of reports in Mexico and the American Southwest. There's one called the Elmendorf beast. And there's a strange, hairless, coyote-like animal found dead in Elmendorf, Texas. And the guy that wrote the book Communion, which was a book about alien abduction. That was the kind of the book that introduced the image of gray aliens with big almond eyes into
Wasn't there a
our
movie
society.
made of that? Yeah.
Christopher Walken plays him. Him in the movie. I was abducted by aliens. Okay, that was the worst Christopher Walken I've ever done. I can do a good one, and I was not even doing a good one.
It kind of sounded like a granny. Like,
well, he's like 70. I mean, he's not. I mean, 70 something. He's an old man. Yeah. But anyway, look, I'm Captain Hook. Okay, I can't even do it today. All right, so they have two independent scientists do the research of the corpse, and one of the scientists says that the remains are unidentifiable, but the other one says, nope, it's just a coyote with something called sarcoptic mange.
Ugh.
Okay, now you've heard of dogs referred to as mangy before?
Yeah, mangy beast.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what they were saying was these reports of El Chupacabra in America's Southwest.
Oh, okay.
Because mange is a skin disease caused by parasitic mites.
Okay, that makes sense because mangy animals, their fur is kind of messed up looking and looks like chunks of it are falling out. So
that's right. And when, take a dog and take all the hair off it, or take a coyote and take all the hair off it, and
It looks different.
It kind of has a reptilian look.
Okay.
It looks like a strange alien beast.
I see where you're going with that.
So and a sarcoptic mage is really, it's sad. It's one of the worst kinds, and so their skin is all damaged and it's disgusting, and it just, when you think about a dog or a wild animal, it just, it's sad. And so, that's what these scientists were saying, that this was the Elmendorf beast.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of was verifying that, yes, these reports of Chupacabra, these people might not be crazy, but they are seeing animals.
Something explainable.
Exactly. Something completely explainable, because it's just, you're seeing sick dogs.
Yeah, and it's like, you think about it, it's the middle of the night, it's probably dark, they're probably run away really quick, so all you see is this weird, hairless, creature, and it who knows, it's the middle of the night, you might be tired, your imagination might get away with you.
Right.
And, so, okay.
So that's kind of the explanation that's floated around in the 2000s. That's like where we are with El Chupacabra.
That's just so, not fun, though.
No, it's just like, what is it? It's a bunch of sick... It's not an alien government... it's not this alien government experiment. It's...
And it's not a monster.
It's sick dogs.
Oh.
But...
Why would they suck the blood, though?
Well, that's the thing.
That's not explained.
We're gonna talk about that more in a few minutes. But 2006, we start getting rumors of Chupacabra in Russia.
Interesting. That's quite a leap.
Yeah.
Geographically.
And they're up in Siberia, and people start having, these small villages in these remote areas of Siberia start saying that their livestock are drained of blood. And it's funny because, let me read you some of these quotes.
Okay.
With, from the Russians who are happening to. They just said, the dog which guards the farm screamed for 15 minutes and then quiet down. The dog's behavior drew the attention of my daughter Natalie, but she didn't think it was important. She thought that if a stranger had come to the house, the dog would bark, and here it was more like whining. You think of howling at the moon. In the morning, it became clear why the dog had been howling. I got up and went to the barn to milk the goats. I looked and saw right on the doorstep a goat with its neck thrown back unnaturally.
Ew.
On the neck, there was something like a bite mark. The belly was torn, and there were huge claw marks. I came over and started screaming. I ran to the house to see the children were all right. Whatever killed the goats just drank its victim's blood.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then they start it starts getting more and more superstitious.
Okay.
Here's one farmer. Here's his quote. It's come from the devil. I've seen it. My brother, even when he lived near St. Petersburg 7 years ago, accidentally photographed a Chupacabra. He took the usual family picture and then saw the demonic face through the kitchen window. Gray-red it was.
Oh, cool.
Such an unpleasant face, like a bat with fangs. My brother showed me this photograph, and upon the advice of his family, burnt it.
Mike, you got to really work on that Russian accent.
I wasn't trying to do a Russian accent. I was just trying to give it some dramatic heft.
All right. Just kidding.
No, after the Christopher Walken misfire, we don't want to do another one.
You're not even going to try.
Yes. No.
That's fair.
I just would sound like Chekhov from Star Trek.
Okay, well that's interesting. That's definitely a different kind of, when he said it looked like a demon vampire or something like that.
Right. All the people are scared. The fear that the creature will move on the children, the head of the village says. We have organized night patrols of 6 people. We walk through the village on the lookout for this wickedness. And so it's just a funny thing. So it's not funny, obviously.
Yeah.
These people are terrified.
Right.
And I'm like, what a funny thing.
The story is spreading like wildfire, and it's striking fear deep in the hearts of everyone in the city. So, they believe it.
Absolutely.
And whoever shared the story with them sold it well enough that, they must have appeared like they actually saw the thing, because maybe they did.
And also this just kind of, this shows, so where do these stories take hold? It's in rural perhaps less educated, superstitious populations. And when we talk about how legends, get around, the internet facilitates travel of information, and then also people with strong religious beliefs, so they think that vampire bats and the devil and stuff is going to come get them. You can kind of see how these legends grow over time, and just to say that it's not just Russia. We have a living chupacabra captured by a Texas couple.
A living one?
This is in 2014. That's what they say. A couple in Ratcliffe, Texas, captured a creature they believe may prove the existence of El Chupacabra. Jackie Stock says her husband, Bubba, found a strange-looking animal eating corn in a tree Sunday night and managed to contain it.
Eating corn in a tree?
That doesn't sound like El Chupacabra to me. That just sounds like a hungry animal. So, once they grabbed it, it was hairless. It had big claws and teeth and a big growl. So Jackie's like, he called me to come and look, and I said, Bubba, that looks like a baby chupacabra.
Oh, it's a baby one.
But just the fact is, Bubba, that looks like a baby chupacabra. You know what, Jackie? If I would come to anybody for an expert in what looks like a baby chupacabra, I would talk to you and your husband, Bubba.
How would you even know?
In Ratcliffe, Texas.
All right. Okay.
So, all right. So people who were commenting on that story, there was a woman from a nearby town, Aquero, and she had the thing is, a few years earlier, she had captured what she thought might be a chupacabra, a hairless dog.
What are these women doing? They're just like running around catching creatures.
Well,
I mean,
they see these weird hairless like dogs, and like hers.
I'm gonna get me a chupacabra.
That's right, baby chupacabra. We can raise it right here. But the thing is, her ended up being like a dog with the sarcoptic mange too. And this was a chupacabra captured, and I remember this was on all of the paranormal websites.
Oh, no.
In the middle part of the last decade when they were talking about it. And so in Texas, they've captured the chupacabras, and it's really just a hairless animal with mange. And that's kind of sad. But so far that's our best guess.
That's disappointing.
On the creature that attacked Johnny Depp. Is a dog with sarcoptic mange. Now here's something interesting though. A guy named Benjamin Radford. He's a writer for Live Science. He's a blogger for Live Science, and he also is one of the editors of the Skeptical Inquirer.
So we talked about that in one of our earlier episodes.
Yes, we did. So the Skeptical Inquirer, one of those magazines that sets out to try to either prove or disprove claims of the paranormal. Critics of the magazine will say that they just try to disprove it. But so Benjamin Radford, he actually had done an interview with the woman who had seen the chupacabra for the first time and made the very first.
Oh, wow.
So he tracks her down. He interviews her. She talks about what happened and what she saw. She said that, no, I didn't really say 4 to 5 feet. I said 3 to 4 feet. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We did see something weird. But she talks about the spikes in its back. She talks about, the kind of reptilian skin. And this is 1995. And one thing is that the movie Species is released in 1995. So, do you ever see the movie Species, Wendy?
I don't know if I have or not. It does sound familiar, yeah.
Okay. Well, I saw it on opening day. Like, I remember when that movie came out, I was super excited about it because it looked like a really cool alien movie.
Yeah.
And the previews were great. And it had a cast, the guy that played Gandhi is in it. It's got Forrest Whitaker. It's got Michael Madsen, who is awesome in Reservoir Dogs. It's got a bunch of like famous actors, like Alfred Molina. Like it's got a bunch of really good actors in it. So number one, that's exciting. It's got this hot Canadian chick playing the alien. So it's like, okay, that's gonna be fun. And it is terrible. Like it is terrible. Like I really, I couldn't stand it. And it what happens is we get a message from outer space telling us how to mix alien and human DNA. And so they do that, and this alien quickly ages. You know, it's born
sure,
and it
because-
quickly ages. It
yeah.
kills people, and all it does is try to have sex with people to reproduce. That's the story. That's the movie Species.
Well, thank you. Now we don't need to watch it, apparently.
You don't need to watch it because it's terrible. But the thing is, the alien was the alien from the movie Alien was designed by a Swiss artist named H.R. Geiger.
Right, okay.
Okay, so he also had designed the monster in Species.
Yeah, he's done a ton of really cool work.
Yeah, like album covers and everything,
Yeah.
and like he pretty much invented his own genre of surrealist biomechanical artwork. And so he designed the alien in Species. Well, spikes on the back, kind of reptilian, like the different stages that Natasha Henstridge, the alien
Yeah.
in Species, goes through.
The power of suggestion.
Right.
So
And she admits she's seen the movie a couple weeks before she saw, whatever she saw,
Yeah.
running around her town, her rural town. She had seen Species just a couple weeks before.
And it could have just been a dream, too. Who knows,
So Benjamin Radford, and plus he did try to do examinations, and getting back to the sucking of the blood. He tried to do some of the examinations of animals that people said were killed by El Chupacabra, and they just happened to be not actually drained of blood.
Oh.
So all the evidence, everything is an anecdote. It's like me telling you, oh my God, Johnny Depp showed up my apartment today with a Chupacabra in his suitcase. He threw it out the window, so we'll never see it again. And then he left and said, I have to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, had they collected those animals and actually confirmed that they were missing blood and whatnot, then we'd have more of a mystery on our hands.
A completely different story.
Yeah.
But so, pretty much the El Chupacabra is just the alien from Species. And
Mwah, 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 mwah.
and until we see different, or we actually, and I guess in the American Southwest, keep your eyes open for hairless dogs that have, first of all, they have parasites, and second of all, they're hungry. So there is a creature out there, but an alien government experiment, probably not.
All right. Well, interesting. Very interesting. And who knows, maybe someday in the future, more evidence
Sure.
will surface, or more at least
Right.
some more interesting stories.
I'm all for cryptids, and I'm all for like the draining of blood.
Yeah.
Like I think that's great. I don't think it's great,
But it makes for an interesting mystery or thing to wonder about.
Yeah, and there's nothing more terrifying, I think, than seeing something dead, and then not dead in a natural way. Because
right.
if a wolf or a hound or a fox or if a predator kills something, you kind of see it, eats it. It's it's part of the natural order of things. Draining the blood out of a creature is not part of the natural order of things.
Not on this planet anyway that we know of.
So the Chupacabra's been in a couple of movies and TV shows. The X-Files.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yep. And that was called El Mundo Gira, and that was it was a jokey episode that was a parody of like a Mexican soap opera. So that was it was voted like one of the worst X-Files episodes ever. So if you see the reruns coming up, it might be worth it if you haven't seen it, but you don't have to give it a rewatch. I tried to rewatch it a couple of years ago, and it didn't have the same effect that it did in the late 90s. There is a sci-fi movie of the week those are always known for their quality. The Sci-Fi Channel, it's SYFY now, called the Chupacabra Terror. And that's actually got the guy that plays Gimli in The Lord of the Rings.
Hey, all right.
So he's in there. I mean, but I've seen him in a lot of bad movies, so he'll act he'll act for food. Or
Sure.
I mean, he like needs a pool or something like that. He's like, I'll be there.
Well,
I
hey.
I was with Indiana Jones. Like, we know you were with Indiana Jones, and you're in The Lord of the Rings, and you're also in Chupacabra Terror. That features Gus from Breaking Bad
Awesome.
as a scientist who captures the Chupacabra, and he's gonna take the Chupacabra back to the mainland, and he's on a cruise ship, and it escapes.
Oh, cool.
So
I'll watch that.
the Chupacabra terror ensues. Yeah, no, if you got 2 hours of your life that you'd like to just waste,
I
think
would.
that looks like the film for you, Wendy.
I think it sounds fun.
A couple years ago, Sci-Fi also had one called Chupacabra versus the Alamo.
What?
This one has Eric Estrada from Chips.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's Erica Estrada, and it's about drug dealers who dig a tunnel from Mexico to San Antonio, and Chupacabra start killing people. They
use
come
the
through
tunnel.
tunnels.
Cool.
Right. And so then there's a last stand at the Alamo with the Chupacabras. And the
Don't tell
drug
us what
dealers.
happens.
I will not. I've watched it for about 15 minutes, and I was like, Eric Estrada, I have not seen you in anything good since Chips, and Chips wasn't even good. So... but that's worth if you're interested in pursuing more Chupacabra films. Here's something interesting though, and this is
Okay.
a song that was just released last year. So we talk about El Chupacabra in popular culture. We've got a Bulgarian artist named Andrea,
Okay.
and she often does songs with a Romanian like songwriter producer named Costi. So Andrea and Costi, maybe it's like the Beyonce and Jay-Z of
Sure.
Eastern Europe or former communist countries. I once took a film class with a guy who told me he was the Steven Spielberg of Bulgaria.
I remember that actually.
So and
which is
we'll
weird.
we'll talk about Vlad sometime because he's got some good stories and he's very entertaining. My Bulgarian friend. But either way, we got Beyonce and Jay-Z of the communist bloc, and they've got a song, the Chupa song, Chupacabra.
Oh, that sounds so cute. The Chupa song.
It does, but here the words have nothing to do with El Chupacabra.
Oh.
It's like, talk to me. Here I am, upside down. But I'm leaving. I'm leaving if you say we take. Oh. Show me, baby. Drive me crazy. Make me lose control. Chupa, 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 chupacabra. Shake it. Chupa, 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 chupacabra. Crazy. Chupacabra.
So they were
And-
just looking purely for SEO on that one.
Yeah, they must have been. It's got over 1 million hits on YouTube. And
Okay.
it's a sexy video. This Andrea, it's a sexy video. He's singing. He's kind of like a pit bull looking kind of guy. But no,
Oh, Andrea's a guy?
No, I'm sorry, Costi.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Costi's like the producer rapper that comes on, and Andrea's like the sexy singer. So we'll put a link to the Chupacabra song, and you'll see like there's no Mexican goat suckers at
my
all
goodness.
in the entire video. So that's
Great.
just a little bit on the Chupacabra featured in pop culture.
Yeah, and I have to say that, for a character that we haven't proven its existence, it gets a lot of screen time and a lot of airtime, so
Yeah,
it's
it
kind of
certainly
cool.
does.
Kind of like Bigfoot or Nessie. I mean, it's neat that the character plays such a huge role in pop culture.
No, I love it. And you know what? I also love songs about goat suckers.
I do too.
So why don't we play a brand new song for everybody?
That sounds great, Mike. What's it called?
El Chupacabra.
His eyes glow
Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
All right, I'm stopping now.